Hey guys, today we'll be taking a look at the HomePod, an Apple product that was announced back in 2017 and that was recently discontinued. In this video, I'll be going over its pros, cons, and answer the question of is the HomePod worth it? And last but not least, talk about some of my hopes for the HomePod. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. One of the major pros of the HomePod is the convenience it provides, and technically this is true for any smart speaker, but the HomePod is no exception. Now, with the HomePod, you could basically speak into the air to request for a song or a podcast episode, or a radio show or whatever. Probably in the future, we won't even need to speak to like a smart speaker to ask for something. All we need to do with like the AI chips integrated into our brains or something, we could probably even just think about something to make something happen. But for now, we're in the smart speaker era, and so that's what we got. You can speak into the air to request for things. Other than that, you could ask for facts. You could do fact checks. For example, the other day I was playing Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu with my sister, and I was confused about a certain Pokemon or something. I don't exactly remember, and all I did was ask Siri on the HomePod for information. And basically, in 2021, or should I say back in 2018, a living Pokédex is a real thing. It's not something that only exists in the Pokemon world anymore. It's an actual thing in the world. All you need to do is ask Siri on the HomePod for information about a Pokemon. Of course, I don't just use the HomePod to check facts about Pokemon. I've already got one, so I could ask him about that. But I use it to listen to music when I'm working out, stretching. When our family's having dinner, I'll ask Siri to play the piano bar playlist on Apple Music, and it just makes us feel like we're dining at a fancy-ass restaurant. I also use the hand-off function of the HomePod. When I shower, I'll take my phone in there with me to listen to music. You probably shouldn't do that if you want to keep your phone alive, but after I come out from the shower and I want to continue to listen to music, all I do is put my phone near the HomePod, and the music that is playing on my phone will automatically transfer to the HomePod, and I can continue listening to music on my speaker. So that's pretty damn cool, and all of these things might sound niche, but it's these little things that add up to make my life a bit easier. Next up, sound quality. And I'd just like to get one thing straight out of the way at the beginning, and that's I'm not an audiophile, period. So this is coming from someone who often listens to music on their iPhone 7 Plus, their 16-inch MacBook Pro, and this, I think it is at least, this fancy-ass stereo speaker setup my parents have got in the living room. So that's what I listen to music on before owning the HomePod. And right now, I'll say that the HomePod sounds excellent. For one, it's very loud. This thing is located in one corner of my room. And then when we're dining outside in the living room, and I play music on this, I have to turn it up all the way up to 90% or something, but we can hear it very loudly, very clearly from outside. So it can basically fill up our entire house with the volume, with the media it's playing on here. So it's loud, it has plenty bass, so I guess that's good for some of you bass heads, that's good. And also it has really brilliant separation of instruments. And I'm not going to continue to talk about sound quality because I really don't know what I'm talking about, but overall, this thing sounds great. Now let's move on to talk about some of the less nice things about the HomePod. And first up, it's expensive. There's no way around it. It costed me $23.99 Hong Kong dollars to buy this thing at the Apple Store. And before owning the HomePod, let's just say I listened to music for free. After purchasing the HomePod, I subscribed to Apple Music. So in order to utilize the full smart speaker functions of this thing, so on top of the cost of this thing, I have to pay the monthly subscription fee for Apple Music. So basically, it costed me quite a huge sum of money, I would say. Also, there's this argument of you can buy better sounding speakers for the price of the HomePod. Now, I'm not a speaker expert. I haven't really looked into the speaker tech world, so I cannot confirm if this is true. But if someone's saying that, it probably is, and you should probably do some research before you just go out there and splash your cash on this thing. But one thing's for sure, this thing is not cheap. As a speaker, the HomePod isn't that versatile. First off, you can't really easily move it around, whether that's just inside your house or you want to take it with you somewhere else. Because first of all, it's very heavy, and secondly, you can't really see it from this camera over there, but behind the HomePod, there's this really goddamn long cable that links it all the way back there to that wall. So if you don't have the HomePod plugged in, basically you can't use it. But when you're paying $23.99 Hong Kong dollars for something, you probably want to use this and take this with you when you're on a trip to the beach or on a vacation, right? That's where Bluetooth speakers like this one really takes the win, because it's portable and this is not. Secondly, I actually also use this crystal ball shaped, in my opinion, quite nice looking Bluetooth speaker as the audio output for my Nintendo Switch, because when the Nintendo Switch is connected to my external monitor, it can't really my external monitor can't output audio, so I have to use an external speaker, and I don't have one. So I saw this one in my parents' room and just sort of stole it, and now it's in my room and I'm using it when I'm when I'm gaming on the Nintendo Switch. But while I can use this as an audio output for the Switch, this $23.99 smart speaker, no, you can't use it as the audio output speaker for your Nintendo Switch, any of your gaming consoles, your TVs. You can't use this as an output unless I think you own an Apple TV, which I don't. So it's pretty limited in what it can do, and with its high price, it's really hard to justify that price, and it shows that it really is, as a smart speaker, as a speaker in general, it's not that versatile. The next point I'd like to make is actually quite related to versatility as well, and that is you can only utilize the full functions of the HomePod if you use Apple Music. So if you're one of the many users that uses Spotify or YouTube Music, well, good luck with trying to unlock the full potential of the HomePod, because you just can't. Now, I don't use Spotify. My sister has used Spotify for a while, but at the moment, I've signed up my whole family to a family YouTube premium plan, which includes YouTube Music as well, so I can use YouTube Music. But in order to use this bloody thing to its full potential, I'm also subscribed to Apple Music as well. So basically, I'm technically subscribed to two music streaming services, just for the sake of I can ask Siri to play me songs instead of having to AirPlay songs from YouTube Music to this thing. So yeah, that's some of the stupid things you have to deal with if you want to utilize the full functions of this thing. You can't really use any other music streaming services other than Apple Music. That is unless, of course, Apple adds support to third-party music streaming services, which I'll talk about in a sec. So, is the HomePod worth it? Do you think the HomePod is worth it?
I don't have an answer for that. Is there something else I can help with?
Now, this depends on your financial status and a lot of other factors, but personally, for myself, it's a yes. And it's because of several reasons. First off, buying the HomePod won't drastically change my life in a bad way. I won't have to live on the streets because I can't pay rent after buying the HomePod, so I can live with buying a HomePod. Aside from that, it makes my workout and stretching sessions more enjoyable. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't always use the HomePod to listen to music when I'm working out or stretching, because if I'm working out or stretching outside in the living room and I turn this up to like 50% volume or something, it heavily disturbs other people, my parents, my sisters, all my other family members in the house. And they will have to listen to whatever I'm listening to on this bloody thing as well. I only actually use this thing to listen to music when I shut the door and I'm doing ball mastery or I'm doing workouts inside my room or stretching in my room. That's when I use the HomePod. It makes dinings and gatherings a more pleasant experience. Like I said, when my family and I are having lunch or dinner, I'll just play the piano bar playlist or some other nice playlists on Apple Music, and it literally feels like we're dining at a fancy restaurant. So that's really nice. And also, I think it would be nice, it would be really a bonus, I would say, to have some background music, to have some music playing in the background when I invite people to come over to my place to have some fun when we're eating or we're doing some other fun stuff. But thanks to COVID, of course, right now I can't do that. But when I can invite people to come to my place, this would be a pretty nice thing to have music playing in the background while we're hanging out. And last but not least, it reduces the friction to podcasts. So like I said, with the AirPods Pro, you should check out my review about that if you haven't already. That reduces my frictions to podcasts and audiobooks and a lot of other stuff. This thing, unlike the AirPods, it's not as versatile. You can't really play audiobooks here. You can AirPlay audiobooks to here, but you can natively play podcasts using the Apple Podcasts app. So this supports, of course, the Apple Podcast app, and you can play podcast. You can resume your latest progress of a podcast episode you're already listening to on here, and while I'm doing something else, stretching or whatever, I can just ask this thing to play a podcast. So again, this is just one more way of reducing my friction to something that'll benefit me, I think, in the long run. So that's a nice bonus as well. Finally, I'd just like to talk about my hopes for how the HomePod can be improved. And it basically comes down to this one thing. It's the breaking down of the walls built by Apple in their walled garden. Now, if you haven't watched MKBHD's video about the Apple ecosystem, you should. And he basically talks about this very nice analogy in his video. He compared the Apple ecosystem with a walled garden. So basically, within this garden that Apple has built, everything is beautiful. Everything just works. But Apple doesn't want you to leave this garden. They want to keep you in there. So they have these very high walls, tall walls built around this garden. But when you actually peek outside of those walls, you actually notice there are probably some other stuff, some other interesting stuff, some other interesting products invented by the other companies. But Apple doesn't want you to know about that, so they just try to keep you locked into this garden, into this ecosystem. And for me, actually, with the purchase of the HomePod, I'm just one more step to being like fully locked into the Apple ecosystem. Actually, I remembered in my iPhone 11 video review, which you should go check out if you haven't already as well. I talked about how the HomePod and the Apple Watch are products that are designed to be like used by Apple users. You can't really use these products with Android devices. So with the purchase of this thing, it only like makes me like one step closer to being fully committed to the Apple ecosystem. Right now, I'll say I'm happy with being locked into this ecosystem. I'm not sure what I'll feel like in 10 years, but you know, you only live once, so I guess for now I'm happy with what I have. But like I said, I hope these walls can be some of these walls can be broken down. So my hopes for basically the HomePod is to add support to third-party music streaming services, such as Spotify, YouTube Music, so I can basically quit subscribing to like Apple Music and switch to YouTube Music as soon as possible. And the second thing is support for Android, which is likely never gonna happen in my lifetime at least. I'm pretty sure that's not gonna happen, but maybe, who knows? You know, anything's possible. Maybe one day we'll see Android users using an Apple Watch and a HomePod, or a HomePod mini, because now that this thing is discontinued, you can't even buy this in the Apple Store. That is until stock runs out. I think it's still available. Unless you buy these, of course, in the second-hand market. That's where you'll find these, like the Apple HomePod from 2017. But who knows? Maybe a second version of the HomePod will be announced. I'm not talking about HomePod mini, maybe another version, a bigger sized version of this, or a medium sized. So the HomePod mini, a medium sized one, and then the HomePod. Well, who knows? Who knows what holds for the future? But that's it for me. That's it from me for this review. If you like this video, drop it a like. If you enjoyed this video, drop it a like. Subscribe if you want more. And until my next one, I'll see you guys later. Say goodbye.
I'm not sure I understand.